Well, a very good morning, everyone. I hope that your summer is going well. And as we get towards the middle of July here in midsummer, I thought it'd be a good time to pass along an update on several USC related items here. And as we go through these topics, if you have any questions or things that pop up, please don't hesitate to give me a call, shoot me an email, come in and visit about any of these. And again, hope your summer is off to a great start. All right, so as we get into the summer of 2026, 2027 here, again, we had several retirements, a lot of staff changes as we concluded the previous school year. And so quite a few different teaching spots and positions to fill as we moved through the summer. And a big thanks to our principals and all of our interview teams that worked to get these positions filled. Very close to being fully staffed for the start of the 26-27 school year. And I will certainly let Mrs. By and Mrs. Taylor speak more towards the specifics of the outcomes of a lot of the different hiring processes and items here. On the transportation side, we're very close to having everything currently covered for the year ahead. And overall, just a very great spot to sit hiring and staff-wise midsummer. And again, always very thankful for the tremendous staff we have at United South Central. And great to add a couple new faces and looking forward to the energy that some new individuals bring to our staff here to start the 26-27 school year as well. Just a quick outlook. I think these names have already been out and about quite a bit already, but again, several new elementary teachers joining us for the year ahead. On the high school side, we have new individuals in PE and ELA joining our staff next year. Joan Grimm is joining our staff in a new counselor role, so not really replacing anybody from previous reiterations of our staff here. Well, basically, the state of Minnesota provided us a $40,000 pool of funding to hire either a licensed school social worker or school counselor, and they provide that ongoing on a year-to-year basis. Unfortunately, we weren't able to fill that position last year, but then we were able to roll that money into our pot of money for this year, which enabled us to hire this full-time. And really, it's kind of the only avenue for us to spend this money. So we do get a new position out of this by virtue of just some creative state funding here. Josh Edwards is going to join our staff as a bus driver here, hopefully starting off the start of the school year. And on the curriculum side, Karen Robbins likely will be back in some capacity on the curriculum coordination side piece, in addition to Tammy Bennett on the MTSS coordinator side of things. And then one other individual that has been around, was around a little towards the tail end of the school year here. Tim Orwell is joining Mike Pijik on our maintenance team. They're both working some combination of part-time, so really what has been a full-time maintenance position for us in the past is right now really the equivalent of a full-time position split between Tim and Mike, and we're happy to have both of them here at USC. Summer cleaning wise, so far our custodians have been hard at work moving pieces of furniture out, waxing floors, doing the deep clean process of our building here. To date, by the calculation I went and counted on the board this morning, 27 rooms have been completed, and they've been starting with the individuals that are moving rooms, the individuals that are joining our staff as new teachers, and then the rooms where summer school is being held. And so that was the logic of what they attacked first. But again, a pretty good spot for the month of July, and getting close to being well beyond the halfway mark of rooms cleaned, deep cleaned, waxed, and ready to go for the year ahead. And like always, it seems like this time of the year, we do have quite a few people anxious to get back into rooms and anxious to start the process getting ready for the school year ahead. And hopefully we'll see more and more rooms done and ready to go here every day, every week as we get closer to the start of the new year. On the summer project front, one project really kind of a continuation of something that started last year. We still are working on replacing the van garage that currently is across town. Again, several blocks away. It's been an aging building and a logistic problem for our transportation department, moving things back and forth between two different sites. Our board did approve moving forward with this project last year, and then we worked with the state to try and get a permit in place, and that took kind of the better part of all summer last year and into the fall. We do have the permit in place finally. They've started excavation on this garage project. Been a little slow go on the excavation front, but we're glad to see the work start, and we're still aiming for this to be complete hopefully late this summer, early fall, and have use for this to have all of our vans and buses that currently are sitting outside on site closer and hopefully more convenient for our transportation team. Another actually relatively small summer project, but something they're actually getting rolling on here yet today as we speak. We are minimizing slightly the size of the elementary, the island in the parking lot between the elementary entryway and parking lot. Basically, when it was initially designed, it funneled out to force the entry lane to the parking lot to be one lane. And what we're hoping to do is cut out just enough of that island to have it be two lanes, hopefully speed up our exit process from the parking lot at the end of the day. So again, working on that here as we speak, and anticipate that should be a pretty minor project for us as we get closer to the start of the year ahead. We did in early June post our building and grounds director position. It was posted for approximately 2 weeks. We are glad to see we had a very robust application pool, 8+ applicants. Then our interview team interviewed 4 candidates about 2 or 3 weeks ago. The successful candidate that we're happy to introduce today here is an individual named Nicholas Graff. Nicholas has some excellent experience as a senior maintenance technician for Rochester schools. He's worked for both the Mayo Clinic and Mower County, and I'm looking forward to Nick officially starting here at United South Central here next week, Monday, July 13th. So if you see Nick around the building, please introduce yourself to him, and we'll be happy to have him here at United South Central. Also, as we move through the summer, one thing that's kind of an every summer to-do list item for us is having our full fleet of buses and vans inspected. And our transportation team, Mary, Rich, and everybody in the bus garage is working hard to make sure that each of our 13 buses and 11 vans pass their state inspection for the year ahead. This year, the state threw us a little hang up. They changed the list of qualifiers of what needs to pass on the inspection. So we ended up replacing quite a few windows that previously had passed, but now this year, due to the new regulations, hadn't passed. But at this point, all of our vehicles have passed inspection, are set to go. And again, a big thanks to Mary, Rich, and everybody who helped to make sure that we're in good working order transportation-wise to start the new school year. Already talked about this a little bit, but looking at the year ahead, building-wise, we have an awesome building. We're grateful for the facility we have. We just wish there was a little more of it, and that always comes up when it looks time to make sure we've got a home for everybody and start looking at room assignments for the year ahead. And every year I try to put together a map like this, really to help myself understand just where every classroom is sitting and starting to get a good picture of what room assignments look like. And as we work through this with our principals and leadership team, there's quite a bit of yellow on this map this year, and quite a few room changes. And what you'll see here are the teachers that are new are labeled, and that was basically to make sure we can get those rooms situated early so they could get settled in on the cleaning side of things. And rooms highlighted in yellow where we had some internal moving around here. So quite a bit on the room change side this year. Again, upwards of 10 new teachers, 6 elementary room moves, and then just some adjustments along the way. So kind of an eventful year on that front, but again, looking forward to having that all solidified as we get close towards the end of July into August here. Some updates for the year ahead on the academic calendar front. This has largely been set since January of last winter. So continuing again with the Wednesday PLC schedules we've done the last several years. August 31st is coming up quick as our all staff workshop date. And there is the potential for us to look to be adding one more professional development day. And really, as we look at where our instructional hours situate out and look at several things being thrown down the pike for work in the year ahead, that one professional development day is seeming like it would make a fair amount of sense. Our school board is going to look at that here next week. So just one caveat that there might be a minor change to this as we get into the start of the year. And if you have any interest in being part of the calendar committee to start brainstorming what the 2027-28 school year looks like, even though it seems like a long ways off, we do start the process of building that calendar out here pretty early in the fall. And so our first meeting will be slated to be on Tuesday, November 10th. And if you have any interest in being part of that, please don't hesitate to let me know. Another new thing for the year ahead, we've used Frontline in the past to record all of our absences and manage that side. Logistically, we are in the process of transitioning from Frontline to a process called Red Rover, and actually we have transitioned to Red Rover as of July 1st. Right now, it's not unusual, and it's not a noteworthy item if you're not able to log into Red Rover yet. That information will come as we get closer to the start of the school year, but from here on out, please do not enter anything into Frontline from this point forward. And really, from what we've seen and what we know about Red Rover, it's a very user-friendly platform. It's a little better fit just logistically for the backside of absence management for our system, for our school system, and really as we went in and started just the process of onboarding the first initial staff members into Red Rover, it's been very user friendly and pretty similar to how Frontline worked from the entering of the absence side of things. So it will be a transition, hopefully not a large or painful transition. We do have a school board meeting coming up next week, Tuesday, and one item our board will be looking at is officially voting to move forward with a referendum here next November 3rd. And we did, in early June, submit our plans to the Department of Ed for review and comment, which is really the first big formal step towards getting a referendum on the ballot. And the Department of Ed looks at all of our research, looks at our process, looks at the data that we've gathered, and basically offers their vote one way or the other of whether that is the best fit logistically for our school district. And so we have no reservations about the Department of Ed sending that back to us unfavorably, but that is in motion. And again, our board will be looking at officially pulling the trigger on moving forward with this here on the November election cycle here next week. Basically where it's sitting right now is 10 to 11 new classrooms, a smaller elementary phy-ed space, and then a couple renovations around the building, really to try and take the list of needs that we identified through our staff research, student research, and community research, and identify a solution to as many of those needs as we can. And then, of course, also we have to do our best to try and keep the total dollar amount of the ask measurable, so it has a chance come election day. So currently it's sitting at a $22.8 million expansion renovation project here. And if everything continues to go well, looking at a November 3rd referendum vote. Just circling back to a couple things that came out of St. Paul here this spring. Every spring the legislature meets, and without fail, every spring there are several legislative impacts back to Minnesota schools, and just want to briefly touch on a couple of those. Compensatory revenues have been a big topic for United South Central and the state for the last several years, really since the free lunch program hit, because there's a portion of school funding that's based on the financial need present in your community, and they had previously measured that by the free and reduced lunch metric. And since the states began supplying school meals for free, this metric has not been perfect, and they've struggled to find something new to tie it to. And their last and current plan is to tie it to basically education benefits tracking, which is on like the welfare type system side of things, and try and get numbers for this metric based on that. The flip side of that is, as they start working with this legislatively and going from one solution to the other, schools lose money on it in the calculation. And so we lost approximately $149,000 from last year into this year was the end result of the compensatory legislative shift for us. Not a great thing for our budget. We're going to be able to manage it fairly well, but not a pleasant thing for United South Central coming out of the last legislative session here. And the legislature also passed out a mandate for us by July 1 of 2028. So a little ways down the road, we do have to develop an anonymous threat reporting system. So a little bit more to come on that as we move into the next couple of years. And they did modify a lot of things, relatively pretty minor things in operating capital flexibility, Title I paraprofessional requirements. TRA had some changes with it. Our local representative Bennett actually sponsored a grooming law that works to instill some additional safeguards in Minnesota schools, and election procedures. All of these are fairly minimal operational changes for us here at USC, but things that we want to have on our radar. And then one interesting thing that will also show up on the November ballot is a permanent school fund constitutional amendment. So long ago, there's a big chunk of land in northern Minnesota that is state owned and state managed, and they set it up that all the proceeds in that piece of land up north get put into a trust, and then that trust gets invested, and the proceeds of that trust get divvied out towards Minnesota K-12 schools. And they have not looked at the formulas and the disbursements from that trust for quite a long time. It's grown to have a pretty healthy amount of money there. And so they're looking to retool the distribution from that trust and hopefully get Minnesota schools some additional money out of that. the kicker is it does have, because it's of how it's set up legislatively, it has to be a constitutional amendment to change the disbursements of it. So this will be something that we'll be voting on here this fall, and hopefully it's a no-brainer that works in our favor and nets Minnesota schools some more money, and really at like no cost or change to the state because the money's already there. So it'll be interesting to see how that moves forward here, constitutional amendment wise, here this November. A little bit just on our budget picture here at USC. Our budget is remaining stable, which we're happy to see. We have a balanced budget projected for the 26-27 fiscal year, so the year ahead. We're within about $30,000 of our total. Our total budget is upwards of 15 to 16 million, depending on if we include our bonds or not. So kind of being within that 30,000 area is pretty well balanced for us. And we closed out the 25-26 fiscal year in a much more favorable spot than we originally anticipated, and we're grateful for some good budgeting work, managing of expenses, and we'll do our best to continue to remain fiscally responsible so we can be stable. And for a school, really, stability is exactly what we're hoping for. At the end of the day, we're not a bank. We don't want to pride ourselves on having a lot of money saved up, but we also want to have enough that we're stable. And we want to be able to stay stable, support our students, maintain our programs, and investing in the people and resources that have the greatest impact on learning. So overall, a good budget picture here, stable at the moment, and as always, it's worth our time and effort making sure that we make some smart choices so that we can maintain that stability as we go down the road into the next several years. Upcoming here, we do have our July board meeting. Was rescheduled from the 21st to Tuesday next week, the 14th, and so that'll be a 7 o'clock meeting. They go to a later start time here in the summer. If you've been to Target or Walmart lately, it looks like once again the back-to-school items are back up and ready to go, which is always a sad sight to see this time of year. But just a sign that the new teacher staff development's coming down the road here. And new teacher staff development starts out on August 26th and 27th. Our all-staff workshop, again, of course, on August 31st. Our teacher workshop days are September 1st through 3rd, and then again pushing towards a first day of school here right after Labor Day for our 7th through 12th grade students, in the case of the 6th on September 9th. So once again, I hope you're all having a great summer. If you have questions or if there's any more information I can provide on any of these topics, please don't hesitate to reach out. Hopefully you guys all have a great month of July and August, and look forward to starting